Today's movie, the F1 movie, directed by Jerry Bruckheimer, starring Brad Pitt and Kate Condon. This is your stock and standard sports movie. Old guy who is like failed in life, comes back into sport, has a fresh, young, feisty teammate, and they have to work together and settle their differences in order to overcome these amazing challenges that befall them. And overall, I think the movie does get away with this premise without it feeling too cliche. The F1 sort of setting and the sport being F1, I think doesn't lend the film any extra amount of like oomph. What the film really does well is the actual racing scenes are really fun to watch, and they really kind of nail the kineticism, the dynamics of a race.
Don't even think about it.
The way that it's shot, it's shot very similar to Top Gun, which is a cool way to shoot an F1 film and to shoot these like F1 races. But the film outside of that doesn't do anything new. It's just all very much it's very much like an amusement park ride. Like you're just getting like bells and whistles, you're getting flash, you're getting superstardom, and you're getting these really kind of like vacuous moments in this film that ultimately is satisfying. It ultimately is fun to watch, but it doesn't really, move the needle on like, is this a good movie or not? Now, I've been a fan of F1 for many years now, and I was excited when this movie came out because there hasn't really been like any good F1 movies. So with Jerry Bruckheimer heading this, you're not really expecting too much, but what you are expecting is a spectacle, and you kind of get one. The problem is that ultimately the plot is just so stupid, especially in the sport of F1. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm gonna do a little spoiler here. If you're an F1 fan, you're just gonna laugh at the premise of this film if you haven't seen it. But essentially, this guy ends up violating all of these regulations in order to help his teammate to win these races and to get they're a backmarker team. So they're not like a Mercedes or a Ferrari or anything like that. They're like a Williams essentially, because they are part of, I think, the Mercedes family in the movie. And this is sort of a Mercedes made movie, if I'm not mistaken. They did a lot of the consulting on this movie. I know Lewis Hamilton was a big player in that as well when he was on Mercedes. Nonetheless, the film doesn't quite, they just violate all of these rules and regulations to help this backmarker team win a bunch of stuff, and it just doesn't make much sense at all, especially considering how stringent F1 is with rules. I mean, they recently just came out with a rule that you can't even swear, right? Like these racers can't even swear. To allow them to intentionally crash and say it on the radio and just let them get away with it.
Sonny's off the track! He's gone too far over! Oh, and that's gonna cause damage!
Oopsie.
And then the only time they ever get in trouble is because they kind of change the flooring of their car, it's just a very silly idea, silly premises. The narrative is just kind of dumb. But you don't ultimately really care about that when you're watching this, which is kind of sad. You're not gonna learn about like why certain drivers go into F1. You're not gonna learn the history of F1. You're not gonna learn about any of the drivers really. They barely make a cameo outside of you seeing them in the film and them racing them. They just kind of are just like set dressing. They just sit in the background. All of that is like quite disappointing as someone that wanted a real F1 film. Fortunately, the racing of it is really cool, and that's really fun to watch. I'm just left wondering like why they went with this direction. Is it going to bring non-F1 fans into F1? Possibly, because it does make it look cool. Like when you watch it, like this is a cool sport. And it's not nothing like the NFL or the NBA or anything like that. This is a very sort of like insulated sport where only the top of the top are there, and you do kind of get that vibe when you watch it. But outside of that, you're not really getting much from this film. So ultimately, I'm just gonna rate it a 3 out of 5. I think that when I first watched it, I was a little bit hotter on it. I liked it a little bit more, but once I sat on it and I thought about how stupid the premises are and the stuff that they kind of get into and kind of what they focused on in the film, I just didn't. I've moved it down to a 3. I think it ultimately a 3 out of 5. It's a good movie. You can watch it. You'll enjoy it, but don't expect to know like anything about F1 or why they do certain things or why a safety car even exists. They don't explain anything like this. So, anyways, that's the review.